Welcome, everybody, live to the Jim Master Show, live entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. It's a pleasure to have you here. This is your host, Jim Masters, reporting for duty in the host chair here in the New York area in the United States. Thanks for all the love and support of our ongoing celebrity talk show series, where we have lots of great conversations and great things that happen with our fabulous celebrity friends and all of you watching from around the world. We appreciate all the comments and the support and the love for our show. And we're very excited to welcome to our show. Now, I've known him for quite a while, and he's one of the dearest, sweetest, most talented people on the planet. And you know who that is? It's Laurence Luckinbill. Yes, and he's joining us here on the show. And we have so many cool things to talk about, his epic career and his wonderful life. But he has penned a very, very special book, the autobiography, and it's really the rage right now. It is a page turner. Everybody's talking about it. Effective Memories. We're going to be talking about this in just a second. We're going to tell you actually how you can get the book. It is something that is near and dear to his heart. It took some time. He's open and he's very revealing. And it's a no holds barred autobiography as well about his career and projects and life and childhood and so much more. It is such an honor and pleasure to welcome this fine gentleman and sweet spirit to our show. The book is the riveting, brutally honest story of a man's struggle to make something of himself in the theater, coming from meager circumstances in the Ozark Mountains. He fights his way up the shaky ladder toward fame, makes mistakes. He goes down blind alleys, fails and succeeds, and again, over and over, he never fails. And that's just a little bit of the book. We're going to tell you more as we go along here. He rose from a family of alcoholism and dysfunction, and Larry takes us on an unforgettable journey from poverty, rejection, and sexual abuse to success on Broadway and Hollywood. And he writes candidly of his part in the social justice revolution of the original hit play and film, Boys in the Band, and his roles in Star Trek, Final Frontier, Cocktail, the series, the Delphi Bureau, and so much more. And he has been on our screens and our stages for a long time, and he has given his all in every epic performance, whether it is film, television, stage. So many of the shows and the movies, the TV appearances, Mary Tyler Moore, Secret Storm, the soap opera, Star Trek, Cocktail, you name it. He's a very contented man. He's with the love of his life and beautiful children and grandchildren, a fabulous home in Palm Springs. But it came through blood, sweat, and tears, love, and never stopping, never giving up, and reaching for a goal that is more authentic and finer even than dreams. It's really a story brimming with fierce empathy for all those who strive to rise and become better and to never stop. So, as I mentioned, all these shows and all these fabulous things he's been a part of, this fabulous autobiography is very inspiring and motivating for anybody who has a dream and maybe they're thinking they're not going to be able to ever achieve that dream. And perhaps you have an opportunity to hear from somebody who came from really not much and made his way, and he believed in himself and surrounded himself with people that, you know, were able to give that support, which is such a beautiful thing. So just wanted to let you know as well, I had an opportunity actually to first chat with our dear friend here. There is a great group of people in this photo here. Of course, David Freeman, the incomparable composer, myself, Larry Luckinbill, Lucy Arnaz, and there's Teresa, and there's Sean Moniker, who's a friend as well. And, you know, we've done things together when they were here on the East Coast. They lived in New York. They also lived, had a beautiful home in Weston, Connecticut. Now they make their home in fabulous Palm Springs. And they are a perfect pair, Lucy Arnaz and Larry Luckinbill. They really are on so many different levels, and they have such fondness for one another, respect for one another, love for one another. I've seen it play out personally in front of me. And Lucy is such, I was just telling Larry behind the scenes that Lucy is such, you know, she's got the lemonade stand out for him. She is so happy for what's happening with this book with Larry and all the things that have been happening in their life together. They've made a beautiful life together, and I'm so happy for them. And I'm happy that you're here as well. So with all of that said, you know, I can go on and on and on about Larry Luckinbill and Lucy Arnaz, but I'm going to bring him on and he'll chat. He's got some beautiful things to share with us from the book, but also some passages he's going to share as well. Before we do that, I have something a little special. Now, we won't play all of this because it goes on for a while, but I want to just trigger your memory of some of the incredible things that our very special guest has played a part in over the years on television, film, and stage. There it is. It's a bit of a reel. We want to play it for you to bring back a few memories. Laurence Luckinbill doing his thing for all of us.
I'd like to leave a message, please.
Not in. 1 point.
Would you say that Hank called? Yes, it is. Oh, good evening. How are you?
Who the hell is that?
Yes, that's right. The message is for my roommate, Larry. Would you just say that I called?
It's our answering service.
Said I love you?
Hank, are you crazy?
You didn't hear me incorrectly. That's just what I said. The message is for Larry, and it's for me, Hank, and it's just as I said, I love you. I don't know when it was I first started admitting it to myself. For a long time, I either labeled it something else or denied it completely.
Christ, was I drunk last night?
But there did come a time when I just couldn't lie to myself anymore. I thought about it, but I never did anything about it. I think the first time I ever really did anything about it was during my wife's last pregnancy. There was a teachers' meeting here in New York. My wife didn't feel up to the trip, so I said I would come alone. That day on the train, I started to think about it. And think about it. Think about it. The whole trip, I didn't think about anything else. Within 15 minutes after I'd arrived, I picked up a guy in the men's room of Grand Central Station.
Jesus.
Just a few memories and a few clips from his iconic career. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. Again, there are decades of incredible material that we could pull from. But without further ado, and I see folks commenting and already joyful that we have Larry with us, let's welcome Laurence Luckinbill to the Jim Masters Show. An honor and a pleasure. Larry, welcome to the show. I mean, that was just a tiny little clip of the incredible brilliance and the talent.
A long clip, yeah.
It's
Well, that's good. My son put that together.
He did such a great job, huh?
Yeah, it is. The music, I love the music.
How are you, my friend? You're there smiling in Palm Springs.
I am good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm just very, very happy that we're doing this. It's the first one I've done. As I said off screen, I'm a little nervous because as an actor, I perform and get criticized by the critics for a character, but this is just me. And I've written a book about myself, and So I'm kind of weird about getting compliments or anything else about it, and it's coming in so much uh, acclaim for what they've read, and I'm just quite surprised and happy. I know I don't look happy right now, but I am.
You That's his happy face, folks.
Yeah, this is my happy face.
There's so many different things to share and so many different things to write about. When you decided to write this book, and we are so happy that you did, so many people are, what was the inspiration to do it, and what was the writing process like? Telling your story and being so truly open and authentic and real about it too isn't always easy for everybody, because like you said, the mirror, the light is now reversed and it's on you talking about Larry's life. What was the inspiration to want to do it? And then what was the process like putting it down on paper and sharing your life in word?
I used to tell stories to my children, and just a sort of an improvised series of stories, and they would gather around. And at one point, finally, my daughter said, "Daddy, what's next?" And she said, she kept saying that to me. "Please give me another story tonight." And there were times when you don't want to sit on the bed and tell another story, but I did. And that's really the impetus for me. It's what my daughter Kate said to me when she was a young kid, a young baby girl. And so I realized that I wrote the book for my children and not for anybody else. And whether or not it succeeded or not was not an issue. And yet, now that it's out and the public is having something to say about it, I'm awfully glad I got through it. It took 10 years, Jim.
It was 10 years.
10 years. And I learned, it was quite hard because I learned a lot more about myself than I wanted to.
What were a few things along the way as pen was to paper that Larry learned about Larry?
I learned that I was not as nice a guy as I imagined myself to be. I learned that I had left a lot of things in the dust with regards to my family of origin, my mother and father, and my siblings, because I was so determined to get out of the circumstances of alcoholism and also of living in a backwoods place where there was no culture whatsoever. I didn't know what culture was when I was a kid, but I knew there had to be something better, something finer, something higher out there that I wanted to be. And I finally found out what that was. It was to be in the performing arts.
A lot of people say that they are actors and actresses, comedians, because what some of the early moments for them in terms of what points them in the direction of doing that is they create this world, their own world, to get away from the pain and from what's happening around them within their life, their family, their childhood. Is some of why you became an actor and playwright and creating this world, some of it of reality, some of it of fantasy, early on as an escape mechanism for you to create your own world, to ease the pain of what was in front of you?
That's why everybody becomes a performer, to escape from their lives, from their opinions of themselves. They're not enough or whatever. And I when I realized that, it took a long time. I think I realized it last Tuesday, finally, after I'm almost 90 years old now. And I didn't start to think about being an actor until I was in my 20s. And it was after I completely flunked out of pre-med, which I was taking in order to please my mother, because there was no one in my family who had gone to college until me. And it was very important because the subtitle of the book, Jim, is How Chance and the Theater Saved My Life. And chance is what my mother always said to me. You've got to have a chance. And given the fact that neither my father or my mother had a real chance in life, they worked at jobs they didn't like when they had to, and they had 4 children. I was born in the midst of the worst year of the Depression, and our whole family was stuck in Arkansas in a rut that was not going to get better. And I was determined somehow to escape from that. And the problem is that once you escape, you leave those you have escaped behind. And that has bothered me my whole life. I didn't want to do that. And it wasn't until, I guess, a long, long time until I found something called real love. And I was able to love myself, which came very hard, that I began to understand who the hell I was.
Learning to love yourself is one of the hardest things to do, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And people don't quite realize that, I think. It's hard to tell your kids when you see that they don't love themselves because they're fighting the world, that that the only way to stop fighting the world is to love yourself first. And then you begin to love others. And you begin to live the 10 Commandments if that's what your religion is, or whatever it is.
Exactly right. You know, in the book, as I mentioned, you're so open and real, and it's whether somebody has had a touch of Hollywood fame or not, anybody could glean some wonderful pieces of inspiration from the book, just in the writing style and the way that you sort of, just reveal who you are. People know you as this brilliant actor and playwright and director, and they've seen you on television and in movies and on stage and love you for all of that and feel close to you. But you sort of take the veil and pull it away and open up about who you are. And for anybody that does anything in life, Larry, I think what you've done and what you've accomplished is extraordinary. It isn't just a Hollywood tale of an actor who made it big and has done this and done that. It really is about a man's life and the decisions he's made and the mistakes and going down the blind alleys and the failures, the successes again and again, and never quitting. Where did that part of you come from? What were you able to muster and pull up from, the bottom to be able to continue to go through all of that and never quit? Because it's a very inspiring thing that you share that others would benefit from as well when they read the book.
Well, I was obsessed with becoming something other than what I could sense in myself at that point, with a lost person. And there's no point in writing an autobiography if you're not honest. I mean, totally honest. There are people I've read lots of celebrity autobiographies, and people can skim and slide around, but I don't do that. I tell the story as it was, and mostly it's on me. I would say it's all on me. So that's just my way of doing it. And one of the things that we have to deal with in our lives is ego. And I know it's a little woo-woo to say it, but if you don't stop your ego from overcoming you, it will, and you will become some kind of a little monster. But I have been loved by many, many, many people. I've been mentored at every point, and I'm so grateful for that. I've been tapped on the shoulder and told to go this direction or that direction without even knowing why I followed that mentor, and I became correct in doing that. So, there's. Do I have a second to read something?
You have more than a second. The floor is yours, sir. You've earned it.
How about the floor and the ceiling and the walls?
Or the ceiling, the beautiful view of that mountain across from that window.
Okay, here it is. There was a place in New York called Ted Hook's Backstage, a restaurant popular with actors and run by a kind of genie, Ted Hook. He was slight in stature, but enormous in generosity and a perfect innkeeper. He loved all things and folks theatrical. If an actor went in twice, the third time he was seated at a table where a little lamp had his name imprinted on the shade. This was a kind of Broadway I had been unable to imagine when I was a kid in Arkansas, but which, after it was an actuality, said this was exactly right. After a couple of months of friendship, Lucy invited me to join her at Ted's. We sat across the little table with the little lamp with our names on it and looked at each other. Two actors living the biggest dream either of them had ever had. Two accomplished people taking a turn in life that astounded them. We looked at each other. What we felt had to be unreal, didn't it? I said, I've been thinking I'm not your type. She said, I've been thinking I'm not your type. Really? Really? She said she was tired of Twinkies, the kind of guys who were not serious, who said they would call and then didn't. I said, you want to be courted. What? She said. Then, yes. The next day, a huge basket of every kind of flower the florist had in stock arrived at her dressing room. It smelled like Hawaii. And the card said simply, courting. And the world turned upside down.
That is beautiful. That is really beautiful.
It was a love at first sight, but you don't believe that. You can't believe that. It's never happened, but it did. And it's 45 years now, come June. And
yeah. You guys are, I know people say it, perfect together, but there is just something, there's a magic. It was meant to be, time puts you in the right place, in the right space at the right time. And it's not just a marriage, but it's a meeting of minds and respect and adulation and admiration for one another that is so evident. You're so respectful of each other's backgrounds and talents, but also as a unit, the power and the love that exudes is quite extraordinary. I've seen you guys together and the twinkle in her eye and the twinkle in your eye when you're together. And in life, sometimes that's a rare thing to ever have that. And people search all their lives for it. And the two of you, blessed to have that time, as you just described, and to take it forward. When you
Yes, well, we're partners, which means we're equal. We take equal responsibility toward ourselves and our relationship and our family. And that works until after dinner when Lucy also cleans up. And I wait till the last moment and say, can I help? And she always puts me down.
I asked him earlier. He waits until that last spoon goes in the dishwasher and then asks.
That's right. That's exactly right. No, but I don't do that deliberately.
No.
I actually have come to rely on her a little bit too much in that respect, I think. But you get to a certain age and My wife is a take charge person, and I really respect that, and I don't fight it. And I have learned that uh, everything she does really is for my benefit or for my better good. And I like to believe that everything I do for her is exactly the same.
Which is an absolutely beautiful 50-50 way to be, and a beautiful thing to emulate and for people to see, which I think is something very, very, very special, Larry, for you, the two of you. Um, as I've mentioned, and we showed this, you have been on so many incredible stages and movies and films and television over the years. It's just absolutely extraordinary. What was the very first big major door opening opportunity for you that set the stage for what became and still is this extraordinary career life?
It was The Man for All Seasons. It was a Broadway show. I had spent 2 years out of New York with the State Department, working in Africa and Italy. And when I came back to New York to resume chasing the theater, I almost immediately got a role in The Man for All Seasons, which is an absolutely wonderful, very serious play about St. Thomas More. And we toured with that. It was the Broadway tour, and it was 14 months. And I learned so much from the actors that I was with on that tour. And I learned so much about myself touring out across the entire United States. When I got back to New York, I immediately got another Broadway job from the same management. And so that kicked me off in Broadway. But my God, it was 11 years from the time I arrived in New York with $5 in my pocket to that moment. And it finally came, and it was a big surprise, and it was great.
That is fantastic. And that is a wonderful opportunity. And to be involved in a production like that, obviously takes you to new heights and notoriety and so much more. I want to remind folks too, and we're going to talk more about the book. Those of you tuning in, I see a lot of comments coming in, many people saying they're already reading the book, they're getting the book, they know clubs of people that have the book and they're already reading it. They've been waiting years for this book. Laurence Luckinbill, the 10 years it took you, they've been waiting 30 and 40 for it.
Yeah.
So it was certainly worth the wait. Television, all the way back to the soap operas too, Where the Heart Is, The Secret Storm. I know that was always on in our house as well. And the opportunity to star as espionage agent Glenn Garth Gregory in the 1972-73 series, of course, The Delphi Bureau. You performed in numerous episodes of some of the most beloved television series of all time, Law and Order, Barnaby Jones, Columbo, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Murder, She Wrote, and Dash and Lily as well. Yes. And like you mentioned, in 1961, that Broadway debut and A Man for All Seasons. And then in 76, of course, Poor Murderer at the Ethel Barrymore Theater, The Shadow Box, and just A Prayer for My Daughter. One of the things that you do that I think is also special, in addition to all the film and the television work, which we love, is this triple duty that you've always had in television, film, and theater, but specifically penning and starring in the one-man shows based on the lives of United States President Theodore Roosevelt, author Ernest Hemingway, and of course the famous defense attorney, Clarence Darrow. Also the one-man show based on the life of U.S. President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Tell us about this thirst you have for telling stories like those.
I spent time in the State Department. I got interested in politics and in the Foreign Service and the United States Information Agency and all those things. And that has driven me a lot of my interesting off-screen time I read a lot. And when I was about 55 years old, we had moved back from Hollywood, brought our family back from Hollywood because we found that it was really not the place to raise kids. We came back to New York, upstate New York, Westchester County, and lived on a wonderful 15-acre farm. And so work kind of dried up in Hollywood, which was okay with me. And I was working in New York in a play called A Fair Country at the Lincoln Center. And I got a call from David Susskind. And David Susskind was a great producer. He had been Lucille Ball's agent at one point in life. But he said to me, what are you doing right now? And I said, well, nothing. It's Christmas time. And he said, you're unemployed, aren't you? I said, yes. He said, okay, I want you to play Lyndon Johnson for me. I want you in Toronto within the week. And we'll start working on this one-man show. And I said, well, who else, who dropped out? And he said, I can't say what he said, but he said, just shut up and take the job. And I showed Lucy the script, and Lucy said, if you don't do this play, I think you really don't want to be an actor anymore. Well, that made me shake myself up. So I did it, and it was for PBS, and it was a very good. It was a success. It was a big success, and from that I learned that I really loved being on stage by myself, doing a great American. And Lyndon Johnson was a great American. I know everybody looks at the Vietnam War and all of those things, but he was the greatest domestic president we've had. So that particular thing got me to Texas and to friendship with Lady Bird and all kinds of things that drove me to the next thing, which was to do Clarence Darrow, who was the greatest defense lawyer in our history, who defended, there's so much to say about it all. I shouldn't even try to. And then I did Teddy Roosevelt, and I loved that. And I have a book that was made of that. It was my first publication, really. It's a graphic novel made of my script, which did pretty well. And then
that was
from
Teddy,
there,
right?
That was Teddy.
Yeah.
And then from there, I chose to do Hemingway, because as a Catholic boy, when Hemingway shot himself, I had read everything he wrote by about age 14. But when he killed himself, I said, well, we Catholics don't do. He's gone to hell, so the hell with it. But I realized there was something deeper about the reason he killed himself at such a height that he just won the Nobel Prize. So I began looking at the situation, and I wrote a one-man show about him, which is, you cannot contact the audience as an actor at all. You never look at them. You are only looking inside your brain at all of your life that is racing before you in the 2 minutes that you've got between getting out of your bed, going downstairs to the basement, getting the gun, walking through the living room, closing the foyer door behind you, kneeling, and shooting yourself. And that's a very hard play to do, but it is, and it's hard for the audience too, because there's no relief. Mm-hmm. But people have actually loved that performance. So those things became the actual height of and peak of my existence on this earth. That I was able to do things that had a focus of social justice, because all those men were great men, and they stood across the 20th century, and they told Americans who we were. And I wish that we had a couple of them today. You know, Joe Biden's a wonderful guy, and he's Uncle Joe, but it seems that the world is not really ready to hear that America is a great place anymore. And I believe that. I believe that we have the potential to come back to that. I mean, listen, everybody here is equal, and everybody here deserves liberty. And that's not happening anymore. So we need to fix that.
Absolutely.
So that's my big speech.
It's so very, very true. And I know Lucy is right there with you on that. She's shared that on our show as well.
She didn't stop me.
She's like, go.
Go for it. Yeah.
You know, there was another very groundbreaking role, reprising the role of Hank. You were in The Boys in the Band back in 1970, the dramatic film. Tell us about being a part of that.
I'll say what I said when they did the revival. The play, we spent 3 years with that play, the cast of 9 young men that we were. None of us was anybody proven in the films. I had probably the most experience of anybody there, except maybe for Leonard Fry. I had done television, a lot of stuff, live television, and lots of Hollywood television by that time. But I'm losing my train because I'm looking at myself here. It makes me crazy.
Look out at the mountain.
Yeah,
he's got a beautiful mountain to look out the windows there, folks.
Yeah. But anyway, what I found out about that was when the revival came, and I was asked to come, was I going to go to see it? This was a recent revival in New York City. I said, no, I don't want to go to that because I know what those revivals are like. The red carpet, the blue, I don't like it. But a friend of ours who's a gay man and a wonderful lyricist on Broadway said to me, you have to go. And I said, why? And he said, because of the boys, because of the guys, who were all at that point gone from HIV. And
except for Peter.
Huh?
Except for Peter White.
Oh, yes. They're all gone now. Anyway, so when I got my last 3 seconds on the red carpet of my moments of fame, I was able to say to the interviewer, people have called me a hero because I'm a straight guy and I played a gay man, and it might have destroyed a career. But I said the guys who stood up for themselves and outed themselves as gay men were heroes. Because of the closet. There was a closet in the world, and it's still there, but it was much worse in 1967 for homosexuals, and it drove them into excesses that otherwise they were not going to do if they had been accepted as equal people, equal humans. So anyway, after we opened the first workshop of the play, I walked away from that moment, and I realized that was the first time that I knew what social justice was. And the play had been written by a friend of mine, a Mississippi boy like me, an Arkansas boy, and he was a very brave soul, and he wrote what he felt, and he wrote it honestly. And you know, when I started to write my autobiography, I thought of him, because if he could be that honest about what his life was like, I better be that honest about what my life was like. So there you go. Effective Memories, how chance and the theater saved my life.
As you were writing, and thanks for sharing that story. That's very beautiful, Larry. As you were writing this book, was there any inner resistance, hesitancy to share as much as you did, or were you ready to? Were you set and said, I'm comfortable, I want to share this? Was there any pullback that you had internally, or did you just let it roll?
No, man, I was not comfortable. I was in actually a lot of pain. And it was really discovering things about myself that I didn't want to know, that I was not not the hero that I thought I wanted to be. And so it was a very hard write, and it was 10 years, and I stuck myself into my office here in Palm Springs and really kind of never came out of it for 10 years. And that was kind of bad because it wasn't very good for the rest of the people in my life, especially my wife. But it's over. The book is here. It's an actual book.
Yes, it is.
So happy. I really am.
And there's a Kindle and everything else too.
Yeah.
What is that feeling of, I've asked this question of authors and writers before, and it's interesting the answers that they share. I'll say, what was the hardest part of writing the book in terms of, was it getting started and putting those first few words on the page and just forming it from there? Was it at the end, knowing when to put the last period on the last sentence, be done with it, comfortable with it, maybe a couple of rewrites, but then know to walk from it and say, the story is told? Or I've actually had a couple of people say the hardest part for them was not getting going in the beginning, not knowing when to finish it at the end. It was the middle. It was bridging the beginning and the end and putting the middle in. How was it for you, Larry?
That's the truth. In the middle is the hard part. You can come, if you start, you can roll on. If you know the ending somehow in your brain, in your head, in your heart. But in the middle, you're lost because you're in a forest of stuff and you've written scene after scene after scene. And I wrote it in scenes and 2 acts and scenes, like a play or a movie. And in the middle, you have to find what the hell you're doing. Why are you doing this? What's going to come? How are you going to trace the arc from the beginning of your life, where you had these dreams, to the end of your life, when your dream has changed so much? And how did it change and why did it change has to be incorporated in the middle of things. And so I had to literally work each scene so that I could lift to the next scene, so that something in the story carried you to the next scene. And actually, that's why the book actually reads well, because they do lift, and then eventually begin to subside to the ending.
You mentioned it took 10 years. Were there moments where you were so overwhelmed emotionally, or just trying to bridge everything together, that you had to walk from it and take a break and reboot, refresh, and then come back clearly with clarity back at it?
Yes, Jim, just plenty of moments like that. And that's why I'm scared. I'm going to start the audiobook shortly. And I'm a little nervous and scared about that, because we went to a studio the other day here in Palm Springs, and we found a studio to work in. And the timing of it is, how long are you going to take to read this thing, buddy? And I don't know. And so I came home and I started to read, just sitting by myself. And I said, trying to get into the story again and reading it. And I read 24 pages in 49 minutes. And I was weeping, and the snot was coming out my nose, and I was wiping and coughing up my phlegm. It was a messy experience. But I
don't have any clips of that, fortunately.
That's how emotional this process of audio is going to be. It's another acting job. I gotta act this guy Luckinbill, who's written this book, and here I am, the actor, trying to fulfill that mission.
That's a beautiful thing, and I know you will. Speaking of missions, and you reference it too, you talk so much about really everything: poverty, rejection, sexual abuse, success, Broadway, Hollywood. But you write candidly about the social justice revolution, and also the roles on incredible productions like Cocktail and the Delphi Bureau and Star Trek and The Final Frontier. Tell
Yeah.
us about being involved. So many people know you, and they're commenting in our chat room here. I'll show a couple of those in a second. But
Okay.
some of these incredible roles, especially Star Trek for you.
Well, I knew nothing about Star Trek. I had never watched it. And I got a call from Bill Shatner, who said, I saw you play Lyndon Johnson. I was in some hotel somewhere, and it was Sunday night, and I had nothing to do. And I watched this play, and you played Lyndon Johnson, and I want you to come and talk to me about playing the villain hero in Star Trek. And I said, I'm very happy to. And it's in the book, but a very interesting thing happened. When I got to the gates of Paramount Studios, I was driving from wherever we live, Brentwood, something, and I was met. Normally, you're met by the guard who threatens you in some way, like you don't belong here. Anyway, I was met by a very friendly guard, and there was a guy on a golf cart waiting for me, and he said, "Just jump out of your car, sir, and get on my golf cart, and I'll take you to where the principals are." And I said, "Well, what about parking my car?" He said, "That's taken care of, sir. Don't worry about that." That's rare in Hollywood. It really is. So we arrive at that room, the bungalow, where the Bill and the producer and the writer and other people were there. And so then the producer, they got up out of their chairs. Well, they never do that. And then we shook hands. I thought, this is what's going on here, And then the producer and Bill began to vie back and forth. That was Harv Bennett and Bill vie back and forth to make a sort of a pitch to me about doing Sybok. And I thought, well, this is very interesting. And they ended by saying, we're giving you the script. Please go home and read it. Call us in the morning and let us know if you're in, because we are in with you.
Wow.
And I thought, that is fantastic. You just don't get movies like in that manner, or I do. So anyway, I went home, I read it, called in the morning, said, count me in. And it's all in the book, but it was a hell of a ride, man.
Here you are. How did you like playing that role? I tell you, you were fantastic in it.
I loved Sybok. You know why? Because Bill asked me, what's your opinion? What's your image of doing the show? And I said, Lennon. He said, you mean John? I said, no, Vladimir. He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, Lenin started out with a beautiful idea to make Russia free and to free all the slaves and to give everybody an equal chance under Marxism. And gradually he found out that he couldn't make it work that way. So he became a tyrant. And after him, Stalin, and after him, Putin, so on and so on. So a bright dream of trying to help people turns bad when there's a mistake being made by the so-called hero of his own story. And Sybok was the hero of his own story until the end. And I went with that, and Bill said, yes, that's fine, good. Just don't tell anybody about Lenin, because, we're not making a movie about commies here. I said, no, absolutely not.
That's it, right?
Yeah, but at the end, with Leonard and facing down the fact that my God was an illusion, and I sacrificed myself for the sake of the enterprise and my compatriots. That was a great ending, and I think I came up to it, and I had moments in that. And I've done a lot of movies.
Yes, you have.
But that was one of the first times I ever believed that I was thinking on camera, actually thinking, not just pretending to think. That's crucial. for an actor.
That
You
was
know,
the first time.
affective memories.
Right.
Stanislavski's beginning of the method, the actor studio stuff, and and he affective memories means the memories that you have in your heart, the memories that you have in your heart and your soul and your experience that you can analogize into a character that you're playing. And that's the way you get real emotion for an actor. So I've lived that life. I've lived that life for 63 years. And I'm very happy that I did. You know, I had a chance to be the very first anchorman for CNN back in the day, and I turned it down. And I've
Oh,
never been
yeah.
happy that I
So
turned it down.
1980 Ted Turner time.
1979. Yeah,
79 as they were
yeah,
launching it.
1980.
Oh boy, yeah.
And it was fantastic money, but I'd just gotten divorced, and I knew I could not go down to Atlanta 3 days a week from New
And if
York.
you did it, would you have used Larry Luckinbill, or would you become Larry Anderson or Larry
Well,
Smith?
no, that's a whole story in the book, and I'm not going to tell you about it
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I'm so glad I did not throw my life into the news business, because it's so hard and so
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's show business in a different way.
It's show business in a different way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a couple of fabulous photos that were sent to us. Look at this. From
Teddy.
Teddy, right?
Teddy's telling a story about killing a grizzly to his 5 kids. like I was telling a story about my life to all my children. And you know, Teddy Roosevelt was a very special guy.
I tell you, there's another great shot that we have. Look at that.
Yes. Who the hell's that? You know, people have hated Lyndon because of the war for too long, and they don't realize Medicare, Head Start, voting rights, civil rights, all the fantastic things, the great society that he tried to give us, all the domestic things that he passed for our good. And you know who's like him? Joe Biden. Joe Biden comes as close without all the razzmatazz of Lyndon. His Uncle Joe, and he's trying to help us, you know. So that's what you look for, is a good domestic president.
You had an opportunity, which was, I'm sure, a great honor, at one of the productions at the LBJ Museum in Austin, Texas, where Lady Bird Johnson herself was among the attendees, right?
Yes, and I did every one of my one-man shows at the LBJ Library, and she was always in the 3rd row, center. And afterwards, we would go up to they have a dinner laid out, and all kinds of people, from Supreme Court justices to whoever, come, and we would eat together, and then they would start asking questions and expect me to answer them as the character that I played, or at least tell them what the character might have felt about that. And so there was a great educational thing going, that Lady Bird was a queen. She was a very kind human being. And when I first met her, I said to her, "You look just like my mother." And she said, "Why, honey, that is the nicest compliment I've ever heard." You couldn't help but love her.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, of the many things that you've done, people will remember you as well for the years and years of TWA commercials, the spokesperson flying through the air, TWA. How did you like doing those?
Well, baby, we flew all over the world, and we were a team for 5 years, and I was on camera for 5 years. And the only thing that I think that Lucille Ball knew about me was that I was that guy on the TWA commercials. She said they were very good.
Larry always reaching new heights. Look at this. Look at this photo.
Well, it helped me to put my kids through college. Let me say that.
TWA, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
there I am.
When was this?
I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah. A little
What
different.
what would Larry of today say to that Larry, that 16-year-old of then?
I'd say don't quit. Hold on, buddy. Hold on. Be good to yourself.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say. There's a couple of more photos. Look at this shot here. This goes back in time, huh?
Does. There's me up in the top left there. And all those guys are gone to HIV, everyone. Well, no, Peter White down on the bottom there on the right did not die of AIDS, but the rest did.
The rest did. There's some more wonderful shots we dug up. Look at this one here.
Yes. Well, Cliff Gorman didn't die of AIDS either. He died of a strange brain disease, I think, or heart disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to missaying that. Oh, there's Manny Eisenberg. That's me in the helmet. We were in the jungle there in Connecticut.
The jungle of Weston, or
no, that's I forget where Manny lived. It was not far from Weston.
I can tell you, I-95 is like driving in the jungle these days. That's for sure.
Well, the Merritt Parkway is a car jungle. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, Manny was a wonderful producer, and I did chapter 2 for him, and that was a wonderful play when I met Lucy.
Yeah.
And I was just divorced, and it had been a tough divorce.
Yeah.
And Manny came up one day and he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "Larry, you have to forgive yourself the 49%. That's what I mean by mentors.
Yes.
That touch on the shoulder that says, love yourself, pal. That's all you have. That's all you have.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
You know, it's, again, it's really a glorious thing that you've done. I know it's been not easy. And
look at the hair. Look at that guy. He's got so much hair. That's actual hair.
Well, I mean, look, I mean,
Sybok is not actual hair.
No, sir. But I mean, just so many incredible stories that you've shared and continue to share. Do you see more? What has Larry Luckinbill not done? He's got the book now. He's a published author that you still want to do. A fabulous director, producer, actor, playwright, many plays, lots of theater. What else is there? Beautiful family, loving wife, Palm Springs, grandkids, lots of love in that Luckinbill household. What is something else that Larry is still festering about, still saying, I want to do that? You know, hot air balloon. I mean, what would it be?
I want to die well. That's a downer, maybe, but it's not.
What an answer. What a phenomenal answer.
I want to be a model for my children of saying, okay, I've had a lot of stuff, and I love you all, and I have nothing more to say. Obviously, this is my goodbye, and I am happy about it. And so be happy for me. Be happy for me.
You know, they are. I've met Joe, and I've talked with Kate, and oh yeah, they just. Are you kidding me?
They're all great kids. They are. They're all in their 30s and 40s now,
and they've carved out their own careers and niches. Simon is a great artist. I mean, they all have their own thing, which, you know, and having parents who come from extraordinary backgrounds as you and Lucy, with all those things that follow, they have been able to create their own essence of who they are, which is a beautiful thing for each of them, but a wonderful testament to you and Lucy for giving them the room to breathe and find out who they are.
I think that's right. I think that's not an overstatement. My son Ben is working as a bartender here in Palm Springs, but he is also a novelist. He's written his first really long, good book, and he's going to be looking for a publisher soon. And it's good. I've read it. My son Nick, my oldest son, works for EDM Insomniac in Las Vegas, and he works extremely hard. And they produce all these dance shows all over the world, and 40 or 50 of them a year. And he works 15, 16 hours a day, and he maintains himself by going to the gym and boxing. And he's always been the only athlete in our family. But I said, what? He said, well, I'm boxing with the tough guys in the Vegas professional gym. And I say, well, what do you do when they hit hard? He says, I hit harder. He's called the cowboy because he never goes backwards. He always goes forward. So that's one son. And of course there's Ben, and then there's Simon, and then there's Joe, who's a musician, really first class. And Simon's a first-class artist. It's hard to get sales and work, but he never quits, and neither do any of my kids. And my daughter Kate is so multi-talented. She is, you know her, so you know her.
Wonderful, witty sense of humor too.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We were having when we were chatting. Her son was coming in. The cat was jumping in front of her and slapping her in the face with the tail. She had it all going on. It was hilarious, but she made it happen. And there are elements of her that remind me of her mom. There's a certain this quick wit. She and I were just, I don't know if we got more work done putting it all together or laughing because it was so quick and so automatic and observational humor that we were having.
That's interesting you say she's like her mother, because her mother, who I'm looking at across this machine here, is a very, very special human being. She is my inspiration, and that's really true. And she is also my helper, and she slaps me in the face and makes me wake up. And I am not the kind of person that would take that from anybody but her. But she's incomparable.
A treasure, and I'm sure, and I know she would say the same about you.
We programmed each other then.
Well, I mean, she would say it without the scripts, and it would be automatic and effortless. I just want to show you real quick the impacts that one makes. There were a couple of people that everybody's been commenting, and all wonderful, beautiful comments, remembering you in all these roles and wishing you love and joy, and saying hi to Lucy as well. Frank Russo says, after seeing Lawrence's portrayal of Hank in the play The Boys in the Band, my life turned around. I owe so much to him that you can't even imagine. He is my hero, and he is aware of my feelings.
Yes, I am.
That when you hear things like that, you're doing the work because you love it, but then knowing and hearing the feedback and the impact it makes on the lives of others, it's the icing on the cake to it all, isn't it, Larry?
Yes, it is. And I learned that in Boys in the Band. I learned that was the reason to be an actor. That was the real reason to be an actor. So many people saw themselves up on a stage, and they were no longer just people to be hated. People were laughing at them and with them, and they were able to see those people and to realize they were loved just for who they were. And boy, is that important today. For who you are, be who you are. And we have gone a long way in this country down. We have declined quite a lot. from my childhood. And when I realized that my father made a deal with a handshake, and that's not true, you couldn't do that anymore. You'd have to have 75 lawyers to fix a deal. But with all of that, we still have the potential to rise up and not quit, and to keep change coming. And we must not go backwards. We must not go backwards. And if I could say anything else about that, I would, but I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to work it out now because I have some friends who are very distressed about what's happening in Israel and Palestine. I'm trying to write something about that right now. Me, an actor, what am I doing writing about that?
No, but you're also a brilliant journalist, a published journalist too, and that's an area that.
But I also played a Jew.
Right.
Twice.
Yes, you did. Absolutely.
So I mean, I'm joking, but.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you play, you get into the soul of that person you're playing, whether it's Lenin or Hitler or some wonderful person, or some ordinary person. And that's what affective memories do for you. They're dangerous because they create a different reality.
They really do. And I was mentioning that you've been a writer and a journalist as well. Like you mentioned the opportunity at CNN, but you have been published in, the Times and other prominent publications. Do you enjoy that part of your work as a journalist? Always trying to get to the bottom and tell the story?
I did for a while, but I was writing journalism for Esquire and Cosmo back in the 70s, and I was being asked to interview people like Bob Redford and Jack Nicholson and Raquel Welch and so on. And I realized after writing these stories, Francis Ford Coppola, I did all of these guys, and only one of the pieces was ever printed because I wrote, again, the truth. And magazines didn't quite want that, but they paid very well, and I could have gone on doing that. But I thought, I don't want to write about other successful actors. I want to be one. and that was right after I had been in The Boys in the Band, and I had a little bit of actor heat, going with that. And so I decided not to do that anymore. It was a conscious decision. But now writing this book has made me actually feel like a real writer. And I know what Mr. Hemingway went through. He tortured himself. He was the man without a skin. And Teddy started to write after his ranch failed in the Dakotas, after his wife and his mother died in the same day. And Teddy just sat down and started to write about his life. And he's written 30 books or 35, I don't know how many. And he flew at it because that was Teddy Roosevelt. And he was one of those determined guys that just went for it, tongs and hammer. And at the end, when I did Teddy, we were doing it at a small theater in New York called the Abingdon on 36th Street. And afterwards, we didn't have a dressing room. There was a curtain. And somebody knocked on the curtain, woof, woof, woof. And the curtain was opened, and it was Teddy Roosevelt's great-great-grandson. And he looked just like Teddy Roosevelt. I'm not saying anything that's not real true. And he said, "Oh, good, excellent, fine. But there's one thing wrong." And I said, "What was that, sir?" He said, "You didn't give enough credit to his ecological powers." And I said, "Okay, what do you mean?" And he told me a story about how Teddy got, at the very last moment, he was a lame duck president, And he and the Secretary of the Interior put together 56 new preserves for animals to be safe and birds within about 3 days, and passed it through the Congress before he left office. And that was his last hurrah, because that was his last go round. Now I want to talk to you about the website. I have a website.
Yes, you do.
LaurenceLuckinbill.com.
There it is. We've been showing that, throughout this conversation. Absolutely.
And a website was going up about the book.
Yeah.
And you can see my shows at my own website. And some of the filming is not the greatest. Some of it's okay. But I urge you, if you want to see them, you can see them, and it's not going to cost you a darn thing. And
especially with this inflation, that's very, very nice to hear.
Exactly. No $400, $500 ticket. No. Isn't that weird?
It is.
Yeah.
Somebody did, I think it's Rick Carl that wanted to know. He said, hi, Larry, thanks so much for doing this. If you had the chance to do one role over again for any reason, what might that be?
Sybok. I would like to take Sybok back from being dead and do another story about him. I liked him a lot.
How much of you is in him and him in you?
Well, I think I put a lot of me in him. Yeah.
People love to hear that.
And a word to Rick Carl, who was a wonderful, great, fine artist.
Yes.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And everybody that's commenting, we want to show folks how they can get this incredible book and add it to your collection. There you go. It's available at Amazon and Kindle and paperback. A nice, big, glossy, easy to hold paperback. And you got the Amazon link right there. You can just go to Amazon.com and you can type in the title as well. And in addition to
it's at Sunbury Press.
Sunbury Press, right?
Publisher in Pennsylvania. Very nice people. And they've made a nice, beautiful, easy to read book. You know, that's one of the things I worried about. What's the font going to be, the typeface? And it's a very pleasant book to look at, and I would say very easy to read, and also it rolls, it moves, as my wife said when she finished reading her first read. She said it's a good read, and it is, and I'm prouder of that than anything. It's also Barnes and Noble online.
Barnes and Noble as
so
well.
It's moving out there, and we are number, I don't know, 16 or 20 in the Amazon ratings of biographies, autobiographies today.
Theater.
And in theater. And we're very happy about all that stuff. So it's my job to get out and talk about it, which it's awfully rare for me. I don't much like it, but you know. But you have been an absolutely wonderful interviewer, my friend, my son. I was
just about to say, was there going to be? Hey, that's that sort of symbiotic feeling.
It is,
vibe, you know.
You've been absolutely wonderful about this, and you've made it very easy for me. So, with the one caveat that I have to look at myself when I talk, I don't want to do.
You are a treasure, my friend. Truly, obviously, most first to your family, and friends, but for everybody else. And I consider you, and Lucy friends as well. And I just remember this beautiful night, so much fun, and this was really something really special. And we had some wonderful conversations. And you are a gifted person, but you are. You're a man with a heart. You're a man with a soul. You're a man with a vision. You're a man with a message. And it has always come through in your work, in your art, in your craft. But it really comes through in this book. and everything you do, and in these conversations like this. And I really am blessed that you took this amount of time, and that Lucy was able to sit in the chair across from you in this amount of time.
Yeah.
Her feet must be killing her.
No, he's just writing notes to me.
Just make a big drink.
No, but I have burned a lot of adrenaline in my life doing this work, and I still find that I still have enough to get this book out there and get some legs for it. And I just, you know what? I ain't thinking about money, all that stuff, or fame, or that's all bullshit. What I'm thinking about is people reading a real story about a real struggle. And that's what I wrote.
Absolutely. And again, it's very inspiring and very motivating, my friend. And we thank you for that. And we thank you so much for all of the time and the attention. Hopefully we'll see you guys again in person.
Yes.
I really appreciate this. Congratulations for also not only penning this wonderful book, and again, we'll show the website and every which way you can get it. You can go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and more. But thanks for all that you've done to entertain and inform all of us, and to make us question and think about life in a unique way, because you've certainly, and I speak for, I guess, a lot of people, you have left and continue to leave an indelible mark. And when I was communicating with everybody about having you come on, and the fact that, this is the first for you, which I'm honored by, I was so over the moon to have the opportunity to talk with you in this deep conversational way, not at an event or a party or a gathering of friends, but in this way where it's everybody's watching, but it's one-on-one. And you've been nothing but real and open and raw and funny. And even though you were nervous, you would not have known. And I'm very happy about that.
We're just two American citizens talking together.
That's right. That is exactly right. And it's been a true blessing. I appreciate the time. As I say to everybody, we will keep the porch light on for you. Thank the Luckinbill Arnaz gang all around you there. We love them. And come back and see us again, my friend.
I will. I would love to.
And any final notes or words that you have to get in there? Or I see you looking towards the mountain.
No, I think that's right. I think I'm going to go take my pills now. But
I was going to say, I usually tell people, you're going to make a sandwich, or I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
Thank you. I did for sure.
It was a pleasure. You be well. Congratulations. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. And wait a second, I can still do that.
Oh, yeah, huh? There you go.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Laurence Luckinbill. Thank you very much to you and Lucy, Kate, everybody. And we'll see you guys again real soon, okay?
Thank you. I hope so.
Much love.
Take care.
Incomparable Laurence Luckinbill spending some time with us, an extended conversation, talking about his career, his passions, his life. But there's so much more in the book itself. And here is the book again. If you missed us showing it, we're going to tell you in a second how you can get it again. You can go to Amazon. You could also go to the website too and learn more at the website. There is the website, LaurenceLuckinbill.com. And again, as I mentioned, Amazon, Barnes & Noble are great places to go. And you just type in the title. There it is, Effective Memories. And what's really great is he also sort of broke down the title and what it all meant and what it means. And I want to show you this too. Here, we just took sort of like a screenshot of his website. It's very, very cool, folks. It takes you down memory lane a little bit, but it's sort of interactive. He's got the blog and videos you can watch and so much more. There is the website there. Just a wonderful conversation with a truly gifted artist, real part of Americana and film and television and stage. And what wonderful comments about his love affair with Lucy and Lucy's love affair with him. So beautiful and so rich and so deep. And here's a wonderful photo we dug out too with, boy, talk about lots of wonderful love there. Yeah, Gary and Lucille Ball and everybody, Lucy Arnaz, Desi Arnaz. I know you guys love seeing that. Desi Jr. It's a really beautiful shot there. Cool stuff. And of course, Larry in that. We really appreciate him spending the time. He is an iconic figure in our psyche, and it was a wonderful conversation. That's what we do here, gang. We have conversations. We don't have interviews. We have conversations. And we thank Mr. Luckinbill, our friend, for stopping by here. And, this being his first stop in this journey of talking about this extraordinary book. And you know what was really beautiful? He said it took him 10 years to write it. And it was very emotional. There was lots of pain. It wasn't just all pleasure and glamour and Hollywood glitz. He really had to dig deep into some areas of his life that were not as glowing as any TV series or film would make life look. And he had to really get in there. And that's not always easy. When you're a public figure, when you're beloved and known for certain things, it's not always easy to then take the veil and open it and then sort of say, look, I'm going to tell you a story and it's about my life. And, he was actually, we were chatting before we went on, he was nervous. Now, you're probably like, no, come on, Laurence Luckinbill, film, stage, actor, television personality, almost a CNN anchor. No. He really, he's an actor. He's a playwright. He's telling other stories, other people's stories. For him to talk about himself and promote himself in the way, of moving the book and everything, that's not his thing. That's not his way. So I think it's very endearing, to have him converse with us in a way that doesn't seem like we're just pushing a book, but we're having a conversation with a brilliant artist, a humble man, a man who's taken a look at his own life with all the accomplishments and all the adulation and all the fabulous things he's done and continues to do. I mean, everything. Remember, he was in the films Such Good Friends in 1971, The Promise in 79. He also narrated the documentary Moonwalk 1. As I mentioned, of course, spokesperson for years with TWA and on and on and on. We just really touched upon the short list of many, many things that this brilliant actor and writer and director and producer has done. But he also, in talking about some of the wonderful things that he's had an opportunity to do with this book, he really does take us all on an unforgettable journey from poverty and rejection, sexual abuse to success on Broadway and Hollywood. It is a captivating portrait of the life of every person who ever fought for an impossible dream and finally won. It's a story brimming with fierce empathy for all those who strive to rise, to become better, and who never stop reaching for a goal that is more authentic and finer than the dreams themselves. He's on your screen there. He's in the book. He's done the stage, done the movies, still doing all kinds of wonderful things, television shows and more. And now he stopped by the Jim Masters show. And I'm so honored. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And here is the website again to find out more about all of it, the book and so much more. He's going to be doing the audio book. He said he's a little nervous about that, but he'll knock it out of the park as he does with everything. And the book is also Kindle. You can get it in Kindle form as well. And there it is. Not with the two A's, affective memories, but not with the two A's, just affective memories with the one A. Amazon, Sunbury Press, Barnes and Noble. And again, there is the title with the one A, affective memories. Wow. Was this cool or what? If you enjoyed yourself, folks, and got a chance to learn a little bit more about one of our most prolifically fabulous actors of our time and so much more, and you enjoyed this, let us know. Give this episode a hearty like, a thumbs up like. Share this on your social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the home to hundreds and hundreds of episodes of our series, and leave a comment on the YouTube channel in the comments section. Jim Masters TV is the YouTube channel. The Jim Masters Show is the show. And we thank all of those who watch, support, share, like, comment, and give us feedback about everything that we're doing here to entertain, inspire, and celebrate life with all these great guests and everybody that we have here just for you and you and you and you and everybody watching. Thanks for all the comments, gang. We love having all of you here. Again, we thank Laurence Luckinbill for stopping by the Jim Masters Show live series. We congratulate him on being so open and real and sharing this book, his autobiography. It's a page turner. You might even need a Kleenex or two with you. As much as he did writing it, you might need some as well. But there are lots of warm stories, funny stories. You will connect with it, and it will be right on your coffee table. Get a couple, maybe, get some for other family and friends you think who not only like learning more about this wonderful, talented performer, but also about how he rose from really nothing and through thick and thin, stuck with it, didn't quit. As he said, what would he say to the 16-year-old version of himself? He didn't quit. And here he is today, 90, surrounded by love and family and surrounded by respect and adulation, all well earned. And with, of course, the love of his life, Lucy Arnez, and his wonderful kids and grandkids. A pleasure to know as well, and a pleasure to also have you a part of our life. Thanks, gang. We love having all of you here, welcoming all the new folks, welcoming all of our lovely family. And if you'd like to see this again, you can, because we archive all of the episodes on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. So if you came in late and you want to see this again, you can see it on the YouTube channel, The Jim Masters Show on Jim Masters TV. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, come see us again. We will leave the porch light on for you as well. Not always easy to say these things when you're live. We will keep the porch light on for you as well. Do come see us again. We have so many great guests, and we have fun doing these shows for all of you. So with that said, love one another. Take care of one another. Don't forget to love yourself and take care of yourself. Very important to do that. Laurence Luckinbill will be one of the first to tell you to do that, as he's learned to do the very same for himself. We all have to do that from time to time in our lives. And appreciate your time with us. Come see us again on the Jim Masters Show. Love you all. Take care and be well. And cheers.